On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
I tell anyone that's 30, you can move the world. You have the ability to change the world. The amount of energy that you have, if you can focus it and channel it and take it into something that you desire to do, because it is desire that will drive you to be successful. Get that figured out, and you can do anything you want in this world, because this world is limitless.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz, Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. What's up, everybody? I'm Chaz, Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. I'm your host. Today, I've got Dan Lynch on the King stage. Dan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing today?
You know, it's wonderful. It's Monday. How could I be upset? I'm back at it. You know, we're building something fun, as I'm sure you feel the same. So I'm excited to hear your history and your story here today. But first, tell us what kind of business that you're in.
We're in the real estate business, and the real estate business that has turned into developing and building. So we kind of run the gamut when in this business. We started just as a team that was basically it was selling people's homes, and it is migrated into a company that basically is vertically integrated. So it allows us to start from the fresh piece of dirt all the way to the finished product.
Yeah, 100%. Well, hopefully we can get some of your story and some of the strategy that has given you this amount of success. But before we do, my first question is always the same. And you've been doing this for a minute. You've had obviously some success, and you've migrated, as you said, you've grown. I want to know why. Like, why are you pushing? Why are you still at it? You know, you could sail away, for all of lack of better terms, but you're still building this business. Why?
So where this came from, we had started in the business, and I got into it working for another company, JC Nichols, and was very successful. JC Nichols became Rookie of the Year and was out, crushing the goals, in the company, doing things that other people hadn't done before. And in the process, a tragedy came. Okay. So my wife and her and my 2 children were in a head-on collision, and it left my youngest unable to walk.
Wow.
And overnight, basically, we had a ton of medical bills. And so this drive probably more real in those moments, because I needed that to be able to pay the bills and everything else. So I just dove into it head first, never stopped, just got into it running, and created a team of people that a real good core around me that were very loyal. And we started just crushing it. And out of that, I've got a boy now that at the time of the accident was 3. Now he's 21. He's in his final year at K-State. He's in a wheelchair, but knows no boundaries.
Yeah.
So that's probably where it came from.
Yeah.
And still, when you look back, still tough, but at the same time, those are the moments that help define us as individuals. You could either run away, go in a hole, or jump into it. And like anything, when you jump into it, you start making a difference. You don't just make a difference for yourself. You're making a difference for everybody around you that you touch. We've been able to put people into a lot of homes that probably wouldn't have been able to get into homes through the years. We built them product that they have been able to have enormous equity in. And So it's kind of the good old thing out there that everybody says, when you're doing something and everybody's benefiting from it, it's amazing how good it can become.
Yeah. Do you feel like, because obviously the story of the accident and your son and just, I think that would hit everybody in a heavy way, debilitate some people, meaning like they wouldn't push into it, right? Not talking about the accident itself, but talking about you as the entrepreneur. Some people would just stop, right? They'd give up. You didn't. That was like a survival mode is what I kind of was picking up.
That's absolutely what it was. It was either fall into the, basically into the net, everybody's got to help us to get through this, or we can do it on our own. Yeah. And we're able to do. We were very blessed. We jumped into it. And my wife, she took care of the home life and care of the business life. And it has now become a family business.
Sure.
Because as Evan, got to where he was more independent and obviously out living on his own, my wife has integrated into the business. My oldest son, Ryan, has integrated into the business now. And so, and we've grown, we've got 40 agents in our office, and we are a top real estate company in Kansas City. And it's again, out of this terrible thing came something great. And it has allowed us to give back to the communities in which have supported us through the years as well.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to parlay that right into my kind of follow-up question, which is early on, it was survival. It was as the man, as the entrepreneur, as the provider, whatever, category or label you want to put on it, you had to. It was survival, which I think a lot of people can relate to that. And we kind of, in Gathering the Kings, a mastermind group, we talk about that being the warrior stage. You have to have something to fight for. That was clearly what you were fighting for, your family. It's huge. What is that transition to? You kind of talked about community. You talked about, all the people that have benefited. Like if you're benefiting, they're benefiting. This is a good thing. Did that happen over time? How did that develop is my question.
Yeah. So that happens over time. Like anything, nothing comes easy. So you got to work your way through it. We didn't always do the right thing, right? We've had our trials and our tribulations, and in 2007, we thought it would be a wonderful idea as part of the next transition into this business was to buy a subdivision in my home city of Tonganoxie. The problem in 2007 was you were buying it at a crazy number, which, we bought this thing only to watch the value of it by the time 2012 came around to go from $2.4 million to $630,000.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And that was a note that we had to continue to pay on, and we didn't give anything back to the banks. But we just doubled down again.
Worked it out.
We went out and a bank called me and said, "Hey, we got another subdivision." And I ended up, buying another subdivision on pennies on the dollar to help pay for the one that I bought at a crazy number. Right. And then once I did that, I kept doing it. And because once you figure out, the puzzle, where you're able to put all the pieces together, it becomes a lot easier for you to do it. But you got to make it through those difficult times in order to be able to get to the better times, right? And there are so many times that it wasn't just 2007. There's been other things where you run into problems, but the people that will end up being very successful are the ones that say, "Hey, I know I got hit in the head with that. I've learned how to duck, and I'm going to figure out how to get to the next level." And that's what we did. We're very blessed over this amount of time to be able to continue to adapt to different environments that were thrown upon us, because there were plenty of times where we could have through the years said, "Yeah, I've had enough," but we've continued to push forward. And now a lot of people probably on the outside look at my success and they go, "Oh, that guy's got it easy."
It happened overnight, Dan.
Yeah. So I always say that. And then usually when those people, they're on the outside and they're having their conversations, once they come in and get to know me and they go, wow, I didn't realize that guy's been through that. So, yeah.
I mean, I think it's encouraging. Obviously, as entrepreneurs, we know this to be true, right? Like, I can think of times that have been difficult for me. I haven't been doing this nearly as long, but in the decade that I have been, man, I've had some ups and downs too. And I think every listener today, whether they've been in business for a year or they've been in business for 30 years, we can think of those moments where we're like, ouch, And to hear someone like you talk about probably the one thing that I'm walking away with from that one little quick story is that it wasn't a matter of give up and turn it over to the bank. It was, let me go find, okay, so the market's changing. Fine. The current one that I own, it just plummeted in value. There's nothing I can do about it unless I want to give it up, or I can make a strategic move and go double down on another investment, which most people are thinking, how do I run and hide? How do I shelter from any more loss? You were willing to take yet another risk, which seems crazy, but man, I'm sure it's paid off for you. Would you like to add anything to that?
I think in addition to that, I think the other things that we did, we went back to the things that made us great to begin with, right? And that was a relationship. So we have always, and I have always made a big deal to make sure that we have relationships with the people who we do our business deals with, whether that be, it may not just be the customer that buys the house. It might be the title person. It's the bank. It's the personal lender that we have. And in having those relationships, one of the things that comes out of them is everybody, is a part of your success. And if they're a part of your success, they want you to continue to be successful because their success depends upon that. So they, one of the things they had in excess, and I'm talking about banks, was they had a lot of properties to sell. They'd taken back a lot of properties. And so we had relationships with those banks, and they're like, you know what? Dan's been, with us during this whole time. Like I said, we'd just as soon give this to Dan and let him sell these things. So we didn't just have that on a local level. We had it on a regional and a national level with Bank of America and Countrywide. It went belly up, and Bank of America took over them. And we didn't know Bank of America, but people that were part of Countrywide knew people in Bank of America. And they said, hey man, if you're going to do business in this area, you got that stuff, you need to give it to this guy. This guy's the guy who's going to get rid of it for you. So those are the things that everybody kind of trivializes, but you've got to keep those in order to have a successful business. You got to cultivate rather those relationships the entire time you're in business. And it's not always about, people say, well, you're just doing that because they're going to buy something. It's absolutely not true at all. You see them out on the street. We see them at the gas station, whatever. We want to be able to have a conversation with them about their friends, their family, and connect with people. That is so important in business, and not to ever lose sight of that is the relationship itself.
Yeah. I think what most people, I mean, obviously the last, 5 to 10 years has just been more, internet connections and people selling things, which is great. Like I mean, I've connected with people on the internet and I've sold them things. But I think what you're saying behind all of that, obviously the relationship's more important, but what most people aren't catching is just that it just takes work, right? Like it just takes time, and it's not a matter of like meeting somebody one time and then trying to sell them something. It's what can I do? What kind of value can I bring? Like you're talking about, as far as asking them about their family or just adding value, just being someone there that they can call and having connections or whatever. So I think what you're hitting on is so important. Would you like to maybe give us any instructions on what you've done over the course of time to keep those relationships?
Well, whether it be, like I said, just seeing them in the grocery store or, sending them a quick note in the mail, personal note. That is how I've stayed connected with people. And again, some are, maybe people would consider them cheesy, but I don't consider any time you have the ability to connect with somebody, it is something that will eventually work into something, whether it be, they may be helping you and your family with something. It may be something that they do in their business. And it's not always about what they can give you. It may be what you can get from them because they're helping you in something personally that you're going through. And it could be a sick child. It could be many different things. But one of the things you said earlier was, I tell people all the time, they say, well, how do you do this? And I said, well, one of the ways is you jump in the way and you get in the way of it and you be a part of it and don't stop being a student of it. But one of my secretaries at our old office had picked up a board at a garage sale. And it was a 2x4 that was sliced right in the middle and it was hinged together. And on the top of it, it said, the secret to success. And you open it up and inside was WORK, work, right? And so when people say, hey, I'm not busy, and I go to them, I say, well, what are you doing to get busy? And the answer, well, we just really haven't done anything. Well, you know what? Here's what you need to do. Let's throw you in some open houses in my business, right?
Right.
Let's go out and if you're at the gym or you're at the church, connect to people. And again, those connections are basically a lot of the secret to success. And just getting out and getting out of your house and in front of people has probably been the difference in my life. And not only that, you feel better as a human being, right?
Yeah.
You feel better going out and helping people do something rather than, sitting at home thinking about what you could do, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people that all the time. We've went out and we're not just a real estate company anymore. We have cattle, we have farms, we raise hay, we do a lot of different things. We're one of the ventures that we're off on right now, which, hopefully we'll have the same success is, we're creating a distillery here in Tonganoxie, and it will be it's named Whiskey Ridge. We bought a property that's beautiful. It'll have a venue with it. And so we're venturing out into different areas. And part of that is it's not always about the profit. This is about sharing something with people. And so that people can come out and see something maybe they couldn't have seen before. And hopefully it'll end up being a good business as well. But I find it hard to sit idle. So I'm always out, doing something when I have a little bit of spare time and finding another avenue to develop and to learn and to educate myself.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, they get complacent and they get a little success and they just, and maybe those people are just happy at that place in the mountain. I just happen to be an individual that, I might get halfway to the mountain and I say, you know what, I want to get to the top. But I get to the top and I look over and there's another mountain that's higher. And so I want to find that mountain, right? I want to get to the top of that. So I'm one of those guys that just has a lot of drive. And as long as I have my health about me, I'm going to continue to do that. That is probably, as I gain in age and years, that's probably one of the things that I cherish more as I get older is my health, right? Yeah. And I tell anyone that's 30, man, you can move the world. You have the ability to change the world. The amount of energy that you have, if you can focus it and channel it and take it into something that you desire to do, because it is desire that will drive you to be successful. Get that figured out and you can do anything you want in this world. So, because this world is limitless.
It is. We could probably end the podcast right there and leave everybody completely inspired, but we're going to dig on. Hey, kings and queens, Chaz Wolfe. I want to talk to you about something that's super important to me. We put a lot of time and effort, we meaning myself and my team, into this podcast, into the content that goes out every single day. And if you have been getting any sort of value or insight from this, we want it to be able to reach other business owners too. So we would love if you would like, comment, share, leave a review, post, share again, all of the things on social media, on all the different platforms, or even on the podcast mediums of Apple and Spotify. We would love to be able to get our content into more hands, more entrepreneurs, so they can grow their business as quick as possible. Together, we are building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are committed to growing their businesses to new heights. So let's do this. Let's help each other. Let's help each other grow. I want to know, Dan, of a good decision you made. You kind of already gave us an example there of reinvesting even when times were sticky, but maybe think of a good decision that you've made along the way that we can learn from that you would repeat.
We were down to 12 builders in 2012. Some of those by the time 2014, 15, 16 came around, then I'm down to 5. And I'm like, I have a lot of lots. I need to be able to build on these lots. So we started a building company. And the building company is Invictus Builders. And started building 10 houses a year. And now we're building 60 houses a year. And we had to do that because we had the lots that had been developed and they needed to be able, we needed to make hay while the sun's shining, right?
Yeah,
So
gotta go.
you need to be able to put these houses up and have people, basically be able to buy the houses. We just had lots. We had no inventory. When the market turned around as aggressive as it did, we started building these houses and it became now another avenue of success. And the vertical integration that I was telling you about, basically from the development, basically to the build it, the sell it. And so it's been a natural that just happened through the years. So that was probably one of the most pivotal decisions we made. It took us to another level and probably allowed us to do the other thing too in regard to the distillery, because no one else is building it. We're building it. I'm building it for myself, So,
Exactly.
So that's been probably one of the single biggest.
Yeah, that's great. Let's flip the coin here. I want to talk about a bad decision that you made along the way. One that you've learned from probably, but what can we not go do? What can we learn from you? Oh, hold on.
What can you not learn from me? Well, I would probably challenge you and tell everybody that you got to go through some bad times in order to realize how to duck, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I think that what didn't kill me only made me stronger in the end, right? In 2008, when I went through all the way from, 9, 10, 11, and the banks are calling for more cash, more money, and I'm having to figure out how am I going to get them $100,000 a year in interest? And I'm cashing out my 401ks for my previous job. All those were, a lot of people would just say, I wouldn't have ever done that. Well,
yeah.
The thing is try to do the right thing. And the right thing was I could still do it. It was painful, but I was able to do it. And I would say that those bad things that have happened to me in my life probably are the things that have been the thing that has driven me the most. And in my life, the accident was a horrible, horrible moment in my life. And it's still, it jerks at me when I go back and I think through that time. Yeah. But it didn't kill us. It certainly left its mark on us. But in the end, it made us who we are today. And we're probably a stronger family because of it. It didn't tear us apart. And so I tell everybody when they're going through tough times, usually if you look around, somebody out there is having a tougher time than we are. And proof of that was, when I was in the emergency room, the ER with the intensive care units, and I'm out there and I'm going from room to room with each of my children. I'm looking around. There's a lot of people going through the same thing that I'm going through. And so I think know that you're not in it alone and look for that opportunity that comes out of it is what I would.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's words of wisdom from a sage in business at this point, I think that it's difficult in those moments, obviously, to pull your head out of the situation and to be grateful or to recognize maybe the perspective of how much worse it could be, or to recognize the things that you have that maybe you wouldn't have had that other people maybe don't have. So you're right. Have you, along the way, do you have any feedback or advice on how to do that physical thing? Like when you were going room to room, how were you not just so engulfed with, oh my goodness, look at what's happening to me or my family, where you actually were able to recognize that other people were maybe there doing the same or even worse?
I think that one of the things that, I was watching, I was looking around, I was seeing the nurses go from room to room, and I said, goodness gracious, I said, you have so much of this on a daily basis. How do you get through this? And maybe they get calloused over time. Maybe that's what happens. But at the end of the day, that's got to be a very, very job. And so I have enough respect for the nurses of the world that go from room to room in these terrible situations that they see daily, and all hours of the day. So I think everyone can look around and see others that are going through different trials and tribulations and know that they're not alone. But, you know, finding and being able to muster up those in those moments, the ability to say, I'm not going to let this be the defining moment of my life. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to make my position better. And hopefully you're going to bring other people along the way, right? Because it's not just about you. There's a lot of people that are around me that have become millionaires that are around me, and they have been incredibly successful. And I've got young people who have bought my Kool-Aid and now go out, and I've taught them how to buy, houses and not just buy one house, but, I've got a young individual that is one of many, but he's got a family of 5 and he owns 10 rental properties now. And he's able to leave his job and work off of those rental properties, knowing that you're able to make a difference in people's lives by sharing some of this knowledge that has been given to me and made me successful is very rewarding. And it just adds to your success.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if this could get any better. We're going to have to chop this up and give it to you. And I mean, it's just absolute gold. I just appreciate just your wisdom. I want to talk about process. We've been talking about decision making. Is there a certain process now at your unbelievably successful level that you take a decision through?
So I think that one of the things that we're really good at is starting out with somebody from their home. And I've got a saying in my business from your dream home, and watching that individual go from their first 2-bedroom or, 1-bath home, that then go to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, or then go to the house on 5 acres or on 15 acres or a small farm. And that process is what I love to be a part of. And again, that process comes from staying connected to the people and continuing to be there even after they get the first house. So the first house, they have problems with it. They need something done. Well, one of the things that I get in my life is I get a lot of connections. And so I know a lot of different people can do a lot of different things. So helping that person with a repair that they need to have to that home just continues to strengthen that relationship and allow the process to flow through, right? From the first home to the dream home.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think there's a lot of frameworks, that we can operate in, that being, a pretty cool one for your business. I want to switch over to the speed round. I got a couple unique questions for you. The first one is, in all of these endeavors that you have kind of associated to this real estate company, if you could only pick one metric to track, what would that one metric be?
It's the love of real estate. I mean, it's the start of, so it's still the first year that I'm in business, and being able to connect with the first group of people that have led to now the huge group of people that I am with, but it's probably still the first year. So
yeah, tracking and even inside of that first year, you're tracking the relationships. I mean, you've mentioned it throughout the podcast several times, but even just in that little sentence, you went back and you said that small group has grown over the course of a couple of decades.
No, a lot of people have talked about I think there was probably not you, but when we were growing up, we got hit by people. It was a company out there, it was Amway. And the Amway guy always wanted to get you, right? And so because you're a salesperson, one of the things that they always drew up was the one person leads and the next person. And probably never forgot that, is that, as long as you keep that tree growing, the business grows, right? Yeah. But what's beautiful about this business is that it continues to be rewarding for you and the people, your clients that you're helping, because you do your job right. The next time you meet them, they're getting a nice penny in their pocket and they're able to go to the next place. And so, and it's not that always happened. Everybody understood the 2008 to 2012 because it was global, right? And so everybody had to go through it. But even in those times, we kept those relationships. Even though people lost some money, they still remembered us and still believed in us and what we did for them. And so I think that's what's cool about our business is that, it continues to be, whether they're upsizing, downsizing, if you do the job right, they're happy, genuinely happy, your clients. So
Yeah. Yeah. I love that perspective. Dan, what book would you recommend for maybe a newer entrepreneur or somebody trying to scale their business? Book or maybe resource?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, probably everybody talks about the Millionaire Next Door, and I've got a lot of them in my company. I've got a lot of plumbers that are millionaires and they've done well in this business, but
Right.
I think that they can grow rich and the reason why that book is something you've heard me say it several times. Desire is the whole key to success.
Yeah.
And so, if you come out of that book and think of nothing else, think of desire, because there's your whole key to, and I don't want to spoil the book for them, but basically that was the drive that makes people successful is by thinking about what you're actually trying to accomplish and have the desire to be able to accomplish that goal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I say it's about greater or lesser desire. And then that's literally it. People do what they want to do
right
every single time. It's just whether you have a greater or a lesser desire. And you're right about the book. That's the only book I read every single year, every single September. I really Think and Grow Rich. So we're on the
great minds think alike.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But, and we're different every year. So I always try to, obviously be a student, but trying to always go to the next level, like you talked about. So what do you think about intentionally? We talked about, growing a network, if you will. What do you think about intentionally masterminding with other entrepreneurs specifically and getting around and talking business?
Well, I think networks are, that's a great thing. And through networking, obviously, you're going to gain clients from having that network of people. Rather in my business, rather be a banker or, I've got a printing company that takes care of all my printing needs. Well, we also take care of their real estate needs. And because we are connected to that business, and that business is, it's a growing business. They just built a brand new building. But when they start thinking about, real estate, they're thinking about us first, right? And I think networks help that all come together naturally. And it's a natural fit. It's not that's why I always tell people in my business is don't force yourself upon people. Don't be the used car salesman. Be a natural about the business. Don't tell people, hey man, I'll get you a house. Let that naturally develop over time. And it does. And the networking can help you do that by breaking the ice with the next person. Because, hey, these guys, we do their printing for them, but man, they're a good group of realtors. And the next thing you know, it's their stock guy that you're helping get a house, right?
Right.
And so networking is very important to every business. And it could be a financial business. It could be a widget business. It could be selling Crocs, who knows? But just having that relationship with that different business will allow you to gain more business.
Yeah, love it. Okay, last question for you, Dan. Especially with you having the decades of experience, I'm super curious about this one. But if you had a chance to whisper in the younger Dan's ear, what would you say?
It would be to have more patience, to listen, talk less. And I think that probably those two things would have helped the younger Dan many times. But they develop over time, and perhaps a lot of people will call that more today wisdom is what they will call it. So,
yeah. We don't know what we don't know, but some of that urgency or impatience probably helped you get where you are. But I think that that's a pretty spot on move for a lot of entrepreneurs. We want it done. We want it done now. We're not willing to wait, and it's okay. It sounds like from a guy who's been there, done that. It's okay.
It's okay. That's right. Yeah.
That's good. Dan, how can the listener connect with you, whether they're in Kansas City and they need to connect with real estate purposes, or if they just want to reach out and pick your brain as a guy that's been doing this for a long, long time?
They can reach out on a cell phone or they can email me anytime. Cell phone is 913-481-6847. And the email is Dan Lynch at lynchresidential.com.
There you go. We'll put that in the show notes as well, so that way they can find you, easily connect. You've been incredible. Thank you for even just sharing a little bit of vulnerable stuff about your family and just how you guys have gotten through some of the ups and downs, and just really appreciate it. Blessings to you, your family, your businesses, that distillery coming around the corner.
Yeah. And to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Care.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe: that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.